Well, it still hasn't got any warmer, and we're still here. But we're not just here. We've got Steve Peterson from Flyfish Europe, who's got one of my rods in his hand. Fly rods, he says very quickly, just in case Facebook Live goes mad. And Steve is going to show us the latest crop from Scott out in the States. And I'm actually not going to leave the platform for this one because I love my Sages, but I think I like the Scots just a little bit more. So I'm going to hand over to Jonathan and look after the dog, but I'm going to... There he is.
He's loving the windbreak.
He really, I tell you what, he's been so good, hasn't he? He's been so patient.
So far.
He's only managed to wreck one demonstration, at least said soon as mended. But over to Jonathan.
Thank you very much, Charles. Well, nice to see you, Steve. It's been a wee while.
As always, great to be back here at Reading, absolutely.
Indeed, you brought the weather with you.
Indeed, yeah, it's lovely and sunny, but this wind, it is freezing, which is why we're all hopped up with our coats and everything.
Yeah, I thought I might get this off sooner or later and just go back to the gilet, but that's not going to happen. No. I need the waterproof ones as well.
Absolutely.
So, what have you got for us? What's the new offerings?
As always, I'm very excited to show off my rods from the Scott Fly Rod Company. The first range we're going to look at is Scott's high performance top-end freshwater series called the Centric. I've got 3 models of Centric and I'm very excited for JT, and I think Charles is going to have a little cast with these. These are rods that I fish with and demo with up and down the country, so I know all about these rods, I know what they can do. So to get a good unbalanced view, or more balanced view I should say, I couldn't think of a better pair of guys to cast these rods for us than JT and Charles. So first of all, just very quickly about the cosmetics and things with the Centric. You'll see it's a nice black blank. You'll see here with the Scott, they are very much a handcrafted feel. All the writing's done by hand. The rod is built from start to finish in a town called Montrose in Colorado at the Scott Fly Rod factory. We have really good quality rings, snake rings at the top and 2 lined stripping rings. The rod of course is a 4-piece. We come down through the blank. Nice little red whippings just to set things off there. As normal with a Scott rod, quite understated cosmetics. Not too blingy, but classy looking, I think. Lovely, really good quality cork handle with a nice small full wells. Really grips the hand really well. And of course, as you'd expect with Scott, a really nicely machined reel seat. Really lovely looking rod. We're going to start with the 10-foot number 6. This is a real powerful weapon. I love this from the reservoir bank or from the boat. I've matched this up, worth mentioning a little bit about the reels and lines I've put on the rod. I matched this up with one of the new Speedster S's from Waterworks Lamson and a nice Amplitude Infinity Taper fly line from Scientific Anglers. Really lovely outfit there, like so. Okay, well, enough of me going on about the rod. It's time. What we really want to do is get to the performance of the rod. So I'm just going to hand this over to JT and let him do some casting with it. Here you go.
I'll have a cast before Charles rips it out of my hand.
Yes, he's very keen, isn't he? Yes.
So tell me a little bit about this line. It's not one I've heard of.
Right, okay.
Well, certainly not one we stock anyway.
The Amplitude tapers really refer to, the amplitude refers to the extra slickness of the fly line.
Coating.
As with SAs, well, it's actually not a coating. With SA fly lines, they build the lubricants into the goop of the fly line. So when they're making the fly line,
technical word,
goop,
the goop.
Indeed.
That's okay.
And it's sort of cooked into the fly line. So as you use the fly line, the lubricants come out, so they improve with age. Very nice fly line.
Goop.
Goop.
Right.
Goop. That was the technical term. So yeah, there it is. It's lovely on this rod. It's a 6 weight. So just loads it really, really nicely. The line I would normally recommend for just about any of these high performance rods is the Mpx Taper.
Great
Get
line.
that with the Amplitude lubricants or the Mastery, which still excellent line. And that's the one in general. If you're looking for a good all-round general purpose line, the Mpx, which is what we'll be using next, is the one I would generally recommend. So yeah, enough of me. There we go, JT. Have a cast.
So 10 foot for a 6 weight.
10 foot for the 6. I mean, something to debate a little bit, but I think the 6 is the new 7, the 5 is the new 6.
I'm big. So we were saying earlier, big fan of a 6. Bags of power in the bottom.
Oh yes.
obviously it's throwing a 6 like that, but first off the bat, you would have said that you could have easily said that was a 7 the way it's punching that
It's a
out.
very, very powerful rod. What I would say about the actions, pretty much with all the Scott rods, these are the high performance rods, so they're fast in action. But I certainly believe they still have a nice bit of feel in the tip. They're not like a pull cue, they're not like a stick. They do bend and flex like a fly rod, making them nice to cast.
It feels very light in the hand, actually. For
Yeah.
a 10-foot rod, it's despite a very light reel, because it is a light reel, even though it's the right size for it.
It is, yeah.
It doesn't feel tip heavy.
Yeah.
It does feel balanced.
I always think of 10-foot rods as really fishing tools rather than casting tools with the extra length. But just sometimes with, I'm guessing, you know, very long leaders with teams of buzzers and things, the extra length, or if you're sat down in a boat, that's when I would usually go for the 10-footer.
No, it's lovely. What sort of retail price are these coming at now, Steve?
These are $899.
Okay, so the real top end.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, this is the top end high performance rod from Scott.
That's
It wants to go.
it's got plenty of get up and go. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Lovely control over the loop. Very
Yeah.
crisp, fast recovery on that tip.
Yeah.
That's very nice. Just lovely bit of tension.
Yeah, nice tight loop there.
Mr. Jardine, I think you will.
Well, I've always had an issue with 10 foot. I've got to put this on somewhere.
Indeed. No, we don't like to hush you, Mr. Jardine.
No, do. No, I've always had a little bit of an issue with the Scott 10-foot rods. Always. Because I always felt they're a little bit heavy in the hand. And this doesn't. But, you know, I was watching J2, who's just a wonderful fly caster. But I'm thinking to myself, if I was... Oh, Lord. That's rather good. If I was fishing this, how would I fish it? Because it's all very well it going backwards and forwards in the air. It's when it's out there and it just feels so... It's really light.
Very well balanced, isn't it?
Yeah.
So that's a very light reel.
But it's always the one thing that I think has separated Scott away from almost any fly rod is the feel through the fly line into the hand, and it's that almost tactile niceness that comes through when you're fishing, and it's never varied right from get-go.
Yeah.
Whenever I've picked up a Scott, it's always had a specific type of action.
Yeah.
You know, whether you went for another brand or not, you could always determine whether it was a Scott or not. Now you might find the action too soft or too fast, but it was always there. Now whether it's something to do with the unground blank or not, I don't know. But see, I'd want to see, right, okay, well it's out there, and we've seen a fish move out there, does it pick up a line? There. And it does, beautifully. Out it goes.
Not wanting for power at all.
No, and it's, I don't know, there's an elegance about it. That's what I'd call it, elegant.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And it's not a brutal tool, is it? It's not a brutal fishing
Nice
rod.
to
you
use,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely. Look, okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to take this away.
Make sure we get that one back.
Well, you make sure that you count all the ones.
Yeah, do.
So what's up next, Steve?
We've got the 9'6" for a 6 version.
That's definitely a big thumbs up from the both of us on that one. That's
Good.
You take that one, I'll take that one.
That's just lovely control with the tip of that. Very impressive.
Great.
So
We'll
now
do a swap. Nine.
9'6"
Centric again, but 9'6" for a 6.
for a 6. So
So-
yeah, well, as we've said on a few of the other earlier films, one of my favourite sizes of rods for
Yeah,
small
me
still
too.
water.
This is my go-to reservoir bank rod.
And then this is the Mpx.
That is the Mpx Taper, yeah.
So a little bit heavier than a standard size.
Yes.
Just wants to go. Picks up lots of power in the bottom of that, but lots of control as well. Oh,
Beautiful loop there,
that
Jonathan.
is very,
nice.
very nice. Again, very light in the hand, very well balanced.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a big reel at all either.
No.
But you know, it's just I've got to say, of all the Scott rods I've tried over the years, and it's going back quite some time, this is just the most crisp things without a lot of effort, and it's just screaming out for more. You'd be very happy to throw this in windy conditions like this, and I'm sure if you're one of those casters that like to longer head, you know, the 45 to 50 footers, it will carry that with ease.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a remarkably slim blank. Very quickly it slims. It's quite a steep taper on it. Very comfortable in the hands. I love this reel seat, actually. I've got to say, it's very pretty.
Really nice.
Very pretty.
Very practical.
Cutting down a bit of weight again, like the skeleton type frame.
Yeah.
See what Charles thinks. But I like that.
It's beginning to sound like Bake Off, isn't it?
Isn't it? You're not going to get a Tomlinson handshake.
No, or a soggy bottom, darling. I wouldn't stand there, Steve, if I were you.
I'll be all right. Occupational hazard.
All right.
I think you'd be okay.
But again, I'm looking at it from the point of view of a fishing rod, not a casting implement. Oh, that's sweet. Oh, crikey. I mean, just watch it go. Bob, there we are.
Lovely.
Wants more too, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. Plenty more in the tank.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's okay, we're cheating a little bit because the wind is kind of helpful, but you just pick it up and again, you're right, it just feels right. It's when it feels right, it generally is. So just lay it back, pop it out, watch it go, bish bash bosh, there it is.
Beautiful.
All the line gone.
Yeah.
Well, pretty much. And it's quite a long fly line, isn't it, this one?
Yeah, about
It says looking around for support here.
I think it's about 42 foot head, and you're looking at a 105 foot fly line.
But, you know, you could fish, it's just, you want to fish it. That's the thing. And, okay, yeah, I mean, right this moment, with gas bills soaring, electricity bills soaring, and everything soaring, 800 odd quid, 900 quid, let's be honest, is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But they don't change their model. There's a very good reason why Scott have an extended menu of fly rods. They don't do the fashion thing.
Absolutely, Charles. I mean, that's a very good point. The predecessor to this, the Radian, was a lovely rod. That was around, I think, about 8 years.
Yeah.
7, 8 years.
As long as that.
Very long time for a fly rod these days.
Huge amount.
Very long time.
Well, and you know, they're saying, look, we are investing our efforts, our technology, our money. This is our backing of that fly rod, and it's good news for everyone. So it's not a fashion statement; it's a fly rod to go fishing with. Right.
Next up.
So next we have my favourite, I think most people's favourite, and I'm sure you gents are the same. I quite often get people asking me, you know, if I was to choose one really top-end fly rod, what would it be? What fly rod will do everything for me? Of course, the answer is that the one fly rod won't do everything, but if there was one that will do most applications, my suggestion would be a 9 foot for a 5, and that's what we have here, the Centric 9 foot for a 5. Pick of the bunch for me, really, in terms of just ease of use, and it's just a joy to cast, and that's really what the Scott rods are all about. So yeah, we've teamed this up. We've got a lovely little Speedster S on there, which is a really nice
very
on
pretty
here.
reel.
I've been using this a bit recently. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty for the close-up. Sorry about that. Had it out the other day, so apologies. Mpx Taper on here. So there we go. Have a go with that. It's an Amplitude Mpx. Thank you. We'll do a swap. Thanks.
This is the same as the other ones. It wants to go. It really does want to go. Very sweet.
Nice.
I'm
Very
going
sweet.
to jump in. I'm going to lean on your shoulder here. For anyone watching this, and I jolly well hope you're watching what Jonathan's doing here. he's showing you some of the nicest double boarding you'll ever see, because there's no gap in that movement back with that fly line. None. So he's in total syncopation with the line and the rod and himself, and that is very unusual. So, it's good.
I've been called very unusual a lot of times, Charles. Probably. Again, very little tip bounce, lovely control over the loops, lots of feel, finesse. It's just, you know, we've said it on other films today during our live broadcasts, and you know, we look at rods and we cast them and we think, oh, that's a great casting tool, but you know full well holding this, it's going to be a lovely fishing rod as well.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's a pleasure to cast. You know, we say that with a little bit of surprise, that it's a lovely fishing rod. You know, they should be lovely fishing rods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is just Mr. Jardine.
Well, this is this is going to sound odd. The least used fly rod that I have is a 9 foot for a 5.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. That's
And the reason
surprising.
is because if I'm fishing rivers, I'll be fishing probably a 3 or a 4.
3 or 4, yeah.
If I'm fishing the still water, then the chances are it's going to be a 6 or a 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes a 5, but it would be a 10 foot for a 5.
Yeah.
So it's a very unusual. I know it's a great casting tool, and I know it will, you know, look at that. Look at the tracking of that. Boom, straight down.
Beautiful.
You know, it really is a. But what none of us have done is this. The first foundation stone of all casting, your roll cast.
Yeah.
So we'll sit on it. Look at that. Look how neat and precise that was. And that really is the hallmark of a really good fly rod. It's how that just kicks over and is so neat. And then of course you just pick it up and you fire at one. But again, it's just a lovely rod to be with.
Yeah.
You know, it's a good, fun fishing item.
Now, one of the people watching at the moment, Stephen Hips, he just said he bought one last year and it's his favourite fishing outfit together with an Mpx. I can see why. It's lovely.
No, it's lovely.
Absolutely
I mean, why wouldn't you want this?
Indeed, I think somebody does, Mr. Jardine.
Thank you.
Right, so we will quickly run through a few more rods.
I'm going to let you do this one because it's getting briny over there.
Getting briny. Oh,
Yeah.
we're getting into the deep blue sea. Here we come with the big boys' toys now.
Absolutely. We're going right into the big stuff here. I'll let you hold it. I'll just chat very briefly about the rod itself. So this is the Sector. This is Scott's top-end performance saltwater range. Really lovely range of rods. We're going to start with the big boy. This is the 10 weight. There is a 12 weight as well, but we're going to just start with the 10 and work our way down. Again, it's the usual Scott understated cosmetics, this time with a nice little bit of blue, aqua blue whippings just to set things off. The rings are exceptional on here. These are the Serra Coil lined recoil guides, so these will actually flatten on the blank.
I love these on saltwater
Super.
rods.
Even the snakes will flatten
Yeah,
as well.
when you're throwing them down rod tubes.
It doesn't look like it's
No.
that's right, but it works.
You throw these down the plastic rod tubes on skiffs and things, and you just
Exactly.
know they're not going to break off.
The last thing you want on that skiff on that trip to the Seychelles or Los Roques is a broken ring on your favourite rod.
Nobody wants a broken ring.
Absolutely, definitely not. Saltwater resistant reel seat. We've matched this up with the Lightspeed LSM saltwater reel
Marine.
from Waterworks Lamson, the Marine.
These are stunning.
Yeah, it's a lovely reel.
Super
Beautiful reel.
lightweight, extra large arbor. They are absolutely beautiful.
Doubles
Really
up as
nice.
a good salmon reel as well.
A what?
Salmon reel. And we've matched this up. This is a 10 weight amplitude, Scientific Anglers amplitude tarpon line. Now this is a tropical taper line, so do expect this to be a little bit coily on the water. That's to be totally expected.
It is.
As
It's
a
used to
line.
sort of plus 18 rather than plus 4,
Yep.
which it pretty much is today. These are relatively short head, aren't they, Steve? These tarpon.
Pick up and shoot.
Yeah. All right, let's have a now with the idea of picking up and casting. Thank you very much, Grant. That's a lovely comment. They are very nice rods.
I think
That's a surprisingly easy casting 10. I know there's a lot of people get very worried, especially when they're going into salt for the first time or they're trying piking. They think to themselves, you know, they're used to a 5 weight, a 4 weight, a 6 weight. How am I ever going to cast a 10 weight? Well, there's the head with a colour change. Just pick it up, load it and launch it.
Nice and easy. I think one of the things about saltwater rods, the saltwater environment and the fish you catch puts the most pressure on your tackle, whether it's your rods or your reels or your fly lines. So the rods are specially reinforced and designed to take the extra punishment. The danger with a saltwater rod is they have to be fast in action, they have to be powerful. The danger can be they can be too stiff and unpleasant to cast.
I completely agree, and it's again, I mean, we're throwing this a long way just to show what the rod's capable of. But the thing to remember is actually the majority of your saltwater fishing is 50 to 60 feet.
Indeed.
You know,
Indeed.
you're looking for nice, easy casts like that.
Yeah.
And you want the rod to flex. You know, you don't want it to be stiff as a board. You want it to have the guts to be able to pick up that long length of line, aerialize a little bit more and make that one-off long cast if you have to make it. But the majority of your casts are going to be relatively close.
Yeah, absolutely. And the key thing is that the tip bends like a fly rod should.
Yeah.
It's nice to cast. Obviously with a 10 weight, you might not want to be casting it all day.
No, but again with these rods though, you're not casting blind all day long with them. You know, you're seeing a fish, you're spotting it, you're casting at
Target.
it. It might be another 20 minutes, half an hour before you throw another one. But even still, it's lightweight. I could go for a day's piking with this pretty happily and blind cast for the majority of the day. I wouldn't feel, you know, particularly with this reel, which is very lightweight, I wouldn't feel like I'm exhausting myself at all. It's just a very, very easy rod to use. You know, it's throwing a 10 weight is a big line, but you know, it's
nice to use.
Yeah. You know, and with a big a fly that's not particularly aerodynamic, with the power in the butt of this rod, the crisp tip, and with this taper of fly line where you've got, you know, plenty of weight at the front, it's going to turn over that big fly quite happily, even if it's a big pike fly. You know, you'll be able to blind cast that quite happily all day long. So, that's for a 10 weight. You know, I use a lot of 10s for my permit. You know that. Yeah. And that's just
nice.
Away she goes.
Good.
Very nice, very nice. So, great for permit, great for baby tarpon, snook, and also piking domestically. What have you got next for us?
Next we have probably still the most popular spec for the saltwater, 9 foot number 8.
Everyone who fishes in the salt should have one.
Absolutely. We've teamed this rod up with a beautiful Waterworks Lamson Cobalt saltwater reel. Absolutely lovely. And we've got the Amplitude Bonefish line on here, which again is a tropical line, so it'll be a bit curly-whirly on the water because it's a little bit chilly in Reading today.
I think Baltic, is the correct terminology.
Yeah, absolutely.
I thought spring was in the air.
So did I. Not today. There we go. We'll swap these over.
It's a lovely size, an 8. You know, you can use it for your bonefish, you can use it for bass in the UK, light piking and perch fishing. You know, more and more people now, obviously they're attacking coarse fish on the fly, so you can catch chub and all sorts on this. It's quite a useful size of rod, but for 99% of your bonefish locations, you're going to be using an 8 weight, and that is absolutely crisp as you like. Again, looking at those casts in the 50 to 60 bracket, foot bracket, yes, this is obviously going to be able to cast a long distance, but for those casts, particularly when you're wading, and you might not be, that's quite a long cast. You know, if you're not wading, if you are wading, you can get really quite close to your target, so you're not having to hit the horizon, and it's a little bit just more than the head, nothing more, but it's the accuracy of putting that fly where you want it. That's again really nice and light in the hand. Even with the Cobalt is a heavier reel than the ones we've previously been using, but it still feels nice and balanced. And I love that companies are starting to do that. When you're on a flats boat and you've got 3 or 4 different rods, different line rating rods, but they're all from the same manufacturer, being able to just go, well, that's the 8, that's the 10, that's the 12, and pick it up nice and easy. It's one of those little things that you think to yourself, why didn't we do that 10, 15, 20 years ago? It's the simplest of things.
Exactly, yeah. Generally have an
or on the base or somewhere, so you could just pull it straight out of the...
yeah.
But no, that, again, lovely, really crisp, very light in the hand, well balanced.
It is,
I like that one.
Yeah.
And now you've got, finally, is this the last one for the...
This is the last one from the Sector range, and probably my favourite little all-round rod. I described this last year here as the little pocket rocket, and that hasn't changed. This is a very unusual spec of a saltwater rod. This is actually, it's still a Sector, but 8'4" for a 6-weight line. 8 foot 4 inches for a 6-weight line.
Okay.
Very interesting. Now, I got this for the curiosity value, but what in my mind I had for bass fishing in the UK. I fish a lot in North Wales.
Perfect for mullet.
Yep, mullet, pollock, bass, mackerel, whatever. I'm happy to catch anything, and this is a great little rod for that. Teamed this up with a nice little Lamson remix reel, which is great. And we've got a integrated shooting head on here. It's an intermediate. This little rod for me is all about pick it up and shoot it and launch it. It's great when it's windy. It's great for a bit of distance. I also use this, my local reservoir, my local club water, it's hard to get a good back cast. There's lots of trees and walls and fences and everything. And with a very short back cast, you can get a very long shoot with this. It's a real interesting, very much a fun little rod. This is very much the sort of rod you didn't realise you needed it until you try it. It's one of those, if you know what I mean. So, JT, be interested to see what you think of this.
that was spoken like a true fishing tackle salesman.
Indeed, yeah.
Now, you've obviously gone from an 8 to a 6. Is there a 7 inside of the range or not?
No.
No. So, okay, so jump. I know it's an unusual size, a 7 for, most will jump from a 6 to an 8. Ooh. Well, that's so
interesting, isn't it? This one
integrated, so no joins, just straight through from.
With the line. Yeah, it's an intermediate head, so it'll just sink down a little bit.
Ooh.
See what I mean about pick it up and launch it?
Yeah, that is.
No need to mess around.
No, I mean obviously we had Howard casting earlier with a shooting head, so. But this is quite a bit shorter than the one that Howard was casting. But just a roll cast, once back, forward. Well, that's
nice.
Probably I don't know, 100 feet, something like that, with just a roll cast and one false cast.
Yeah, that was lovely. It's a short rod, but it can cast a very long way.
Do you know it doesn't feel 8'4"?
No, it doesn't.
It feels 9 foot.
Yeah.
But just roll cast, back. Forward. Wow.
Nice.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That is very impressive.
Yeah.
I think this would make a fabulous mullet rod.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're wading, but you're not necessarily casting very far. But that is, yeah. And equally as well, it make a nice bonefish rod for less windy days.
Light bone fishing, yeah absolutely.
I always like to try and get away with as light a bonefish rod as I can, wind depending.
Yeah.
But most of the time where you are, you're always getting some kind of a wind.
Yeah.
So you need to have an 8.
Yeah.
But if you can step down, that's
a pretty phenomenal distance there you just had
from a roll cast and back and shoot. That's not particularly taxing, and wow, is that going a long way?
Yeah.
I mean, what's the head length on this? It can't be that long.
No, it's not. I'm not sure actually. It's not particularly long at all.
That's Is
it all gone? It's a pretty long line.
Seems pretty long.
Yeah.
I don't. That's the whole shebang there.
Yeah.
And from one roll cast to let go. That is
nice.
Very, very impressive. I know we've got the wind slightly off our shoulder here, but on a relatively short head, you can see how much I'm bringing in there. Just a roll back.
Yeah. So I've been using this off the reservoir bank with little lures early season.
Yeah.
Lots of fun. It's a serious fishing tool, but it's a lot of fun to use.
Well, as you say, if you've got a limited back cast with this relatively short head, but it's amazing how far that's shooting. With the salmon rod earlier with Scotty, it was a relatively short head, but we were doing high 40s, almost 50 yards.
Yeah.
Well, with a single-handed rod, doing 100 plus feet
Yeah.
with a head that length, that's really quite impressive.
Yeah.
You know, say if you've got stuff behind you, you limited back cast.
You don't
can't
need too
aerialise.
much of a back cast to get It's about line speed. I think with any saltwater rod, it's about the line speed you can generate.
Yeah.
And this really generates
it's got
phenomenal line speed.
A great tip on it. That's really nice. I'm impressed with that.
Yeah.
As you say, unusual size, 8'4".
Yeah.
But with a 6-weight line, you know, that is.
Wow. Nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Really like that.
Yeah.
I've been very impressed with all these. Again, I love these Recoil guides.
Superb.
As you say, the finish is very classic Scott. Not necessarily everybody's cup of tea.
Well, usually very understated. The cosmetics. Yeah. Personally, I love that.
Nice reel seat on this.
Yeah.
You know, matched up with the great lines. Actually, they really have sort of done these rods justice. I've really enjoyed that.
Good.
You know, they've always made nice rods.
Yeah.
These particularly easy to use, easy to cast. As you say, typical kind of Scott understated cosmetics. But I love the fact they've moved on to these. It's people are going to pick them up and really like them, I think.
Some great rods. There's lots of great rods out there, really, I believe. But if you want something with that handcrafted feel, something a bit special, the Scott is a great option. And I just urge you to come to Sportfish Reading. The facility here is amazing. Come and try them out.
Get one in your hand.
Get them in the hand and have a cast. That's the best thing you can do.
Indeed.
Try lots of rods.
Well, it's been great. That's bringing us to the end of this live one.
Yeah.
Thanks ever so much, Steve.
Pleasure.
It's nice
Thank
to
you.
see you. It's been
Thanks
a
for
while.
having me down again. Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have a play with these later this afternoon.
Superb. Absolutely.
And I'm sure the other guys will like these too. So stay tuned. More to come as always. Thanks ever so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks a lot.